Shoto and Terriemon are probably the first faces that come to mind when talking about green in the Digimon Liberator era. Obviously, they are the mascots of the series, and there has been a big push in sealed product to make them the green archetype to play. But that hasn't really been the case. At least, not yet. So when I desperately needed a hero to head up this green-centric episode, I had to turn to Old Faithful. His potential is as big as his ears, and backed up by Willis and Henry, I think Terriermon is the perfect partner to lead you into the game. Green as a color has had a troubled history in the Digimon TCG. The joke among veterans of the game is that green is where Bandai likes to test mechanics, break them, and then give a watered-down version of those mechanics to other colors. But in any case, as a color, green is really trying to do just a handful of things. Digivolve up a line for cheap or free as often as possible, swarm the board with as many bodies as will fit on a playmat, suspend everything in sight and prevent everything from restanding, and punch you in the face with obnoxious, if expensive, boss monsters. Within green, you'll find many common themes, such as decks built around insects, plants, and dinosaurs, funny enough. And of course, Shoto and Terriemon bring the denizens of the sky into the green pool as well. Oh, and of course, Terriermon and Lopmon reign supreme among the green Digimon. Not that I'm biased or anything. Speaking of Terriermon, he really embodies the best aspects of green throughout his various incarnations in the game. You can play into the Golden Rapidmon Rush build, pairing him with his movie companion Willis to digivolve up for cheap and control the board while lighting up the opponent's security. Or maybe you want to flood the board while swinging big, chaining Alliance and all the effects that trigger from it to leave your opponent on the verge of defeat as early as the second turn. Or maybe you'll want to play something a little more classic and build up to your big doggo fortress, suspending down boards and multi-swinging uncontested. There are many ways you can build Terriermon. Although the Golden Rapidmon variant will cost you a decent chunk of change, since it does need 4 secret rare cards and potentially a few pricey aces to really play it competitively. That said, it's pretty reasonable compared to what you pay for most decent purple or yellow decks, especially thanks to all of the excellent cards that you can find in the Double Typhoon Advanced Starter deck. Well, to be frank, if you're looking to get into the game with Terriermon as your partner, then there is no better build than Rapidmon Rush. The tribal deck is currently in the special set 2.5 waiting room, and Alliance requires a lot of reps to really master the deck and profit from its many effects. This build, however, keeps things simple in that it just wants to go face, but still has a lot of tools that will enable more complex plays in the hands of a good pilot. The star of the show here is none other than Rapidmon X-Antibody. This beefy level 6 can actually digivolve off of any Rapidmon, including the level 4 armor variants, which makes it surprisingly easy to climb into. Like its champion predecessors, it has Armor Purge, which shields it from deletion, and comes with 3 other potent effects. When digivolving, you can suspend all of your opponent's Digimon, and then you may declare an attack, even if the memory has passed over to your opponent. Think of it like Blitz and you're good to go. Next, it has an All Turns effect where it gives all of your opponent's suspended Digimon a 4000 DP debuff as long as you meet its X-Antibody requirements. And finally, it has another All Turns effect on a hard once per turn, which nets you 2 memory when an enemy Digimon is deleted in battle or by having its DP reduced to 0. So, you have a beat stick with protection that can effectively blitz, suspend down an entire board, floodgate small Digimon through a hellish and continuous debuff, and potentially steal or extend turns if your opponent's Digimon are destroyed. You can see why this card comes at a premium price. But of course, it's not the entire deck. Your secondary boss monster of choice is Mega Gargomon Ace, which can cheat its Digivolution requirements and even blast Evo over a level 4, as long as that target is a Rapidmon. This absolute house of a card suspends down 2 targets, prevents those targets from digivolving for a turn, can unsuspend when digivolving or at the end of attack, and has the blocker reboot combo to boot. While Mega Gargomon Ace risks overflow, this is mitigated by the deck's only level 5, the starter deck Rapidmon. When digivolving or on play, it de-digivolves something by 1, and then gains immunity to deletion, bounce, and spin effects, effectively turning it into the perfect ace target. Although you will need to have a green tamer on board in order to get that protection. This card also has an inheritable effect that will let you trash a security when it deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, on a hard once per turn, granted. But of course, this is a rush deck, so your top end is mostly here to just clean up the opponent. Your real workhorses are your 2 level 4 golden Rapidmons. Both essentially have effects to inflict heavy DP reduction on the opponent, paired with Armor Purge to be safe on the swing. They can level boards on their own and start to pile up damage pretty quickly. And of course, they can both turn into megas in a flash. You have a nice Terriermon toolbox to get your aggro going, with each offering some interesting utility. You have a memory floodgate, a searcher, and a little board spammer too. Pick what you need in the moment, evo into your armors, and just go unga bunga from there, really. Willis is the dedicated tamer of choice here to facilitate your aggro, by resetting the breeding area on play and making your Rapidmons and Gargomons cheaper to evo into. Mimi is also backup to provide a steady 3 memory and cheat things out of the breeding area. This deck also runs a number of utility cards for when pure aggro isn't quite enough. Starter deck Lopmon and Cherubimon Ace form a small alliance package, which can be used to let you muscle through big walls more than anything else. BT9 Pomumon is here to shut down board spam, keeping things fairly manageable while you aggro. Quartzmon is something of a finisher, or a way to lock down the entire board and stall for time. And Digimon Emperor helps you edge out other aggro decks, while filling up your hand anytime an opponent's Digimon is deleted. The whole package works together quite well. And like I mentioned, it can be as straightforward as turning your cards sideways until the opponent folds, or you can flex your more technical muscles and pull off some absolutely devilish plays. Looking at your matchups, this is definitely one of the more straightforward assessments we can make in the series. Again, because Rapidmon Rush is a fairly straightforward deck. In my experience, there are very few close matchups. Instead, you're either really good into something, or you're in for a miserable time. Red is probably your best matchup because Armor Purge frustrates deletion effects, suspending down targets will dull aggro, and being able to erase your opponent's low-level Digimon prevents them from chipping you down too quickly. You aren't as fast as most red decks, but you can bring them down to your speed and snowball your advantage into a win. Blue is the opposite end of the spectrum because getting bounced invalidates Armor Purge, and Blue's ability to often hang back and build up resources for the OTK will frustrate your ability to control the board as well. Mega Gargomon Ace off of a level 5 Rapidmon can help to patch up some of the holes here, but you won't threaten enough damage quickly enough to regain the initiative. Also, Blue has access to stun as well, which will just shut you down. Yellow can be a slog since DP reduction also gets around Armor Purge, and you don't have security attack modifiers, which can be pretty brutal into security attack debuffs. And, they can probably just out-heal you in most situations. Other green decks get shredded by all your DP reduction and your ability to push damage quicker than they can. Just time your push as well, since getting suspended down or spun to the deck will definitely hurt at times. Purple suffers from many of the same shortcomings as red when facing Rapidmon Rush. Armor Purge is clutch into deletion effects, you can erase their floodgates while pushing damage, and you are so much faster than them that it's not even funny. Black decks, however, are usually bad matchups, with the asterisk that you do beat the more setup-oriented ones by virtue of your speed. But access to DP reduction immunity and an increasing number of non-blocker redirection effects will effectively wall you out. As far as your meta matchups go, the newcomer Lord Nightmon is surprisingly manageable, with the ability to erase their board and leave them stuck for a turn at least. Being able to constantly reset your breeding area also makes the X-Antibodies lockdown effects less of an issue as well. Imperial is still around and will make your life miserable thanks to Source Strip getting around Armor Purge, and honestly their ability to outrace you to a lethal position and keep up the pressure consistently. It's worth saying that Rapidmon does fare quite well into a lot more of the locals' favorites, with Red Hybrid being a matchup that you'll be happy to take more often than not. That blanket DP reduction just makes things like Ukomon aggro absolutely untenable, and again, Armor Purge laughs in the face of deletion. All in all, it's a good field to play into, but you do need to understand the limitations of your deck and set your expectations accordingly. And there we go. We're more than halfway through the color pie at this point, and next time will be a deep dive into the most powerful purple deck that we've seen in a long time. I wonder who it's going to be. I should also mention that I've started testing the 2 decks that exist outside of the color pie, and I have been having a blast with them so far. Big points to anyone who can guess which ones these might be because, maybe not quite as obvious. And finally, if you're a Terriermon main, let me know what you think about the BT19 support that we've got coming down the line. We do have to wait a little longer for it in the West, but I'm hoping that it'll be everything we need to finally have all 3 of the Tamer's protagonists at an indisputably competitive level. The Mega Gargomon definitely has me scratching my head, but we will see.